fit I was. I made the weight effectively. Everything was in place because I was pressuring him so much. And it just so happened that
in the world of mixed martial arts, MMA, the persona of a fighter often plays a significant role in how they are perceived by fans, fellow fighters, and the media. While many fighters gain notoriety for their brash personalities or larger-than-life egos, others become known for their humble nature, sportsmanship, and respectful attitude. Daniel Cormier, a two-division UFC champion, is one such fighter who built his reputation on being a genuinely good person. However, despite his kindness and commitment to his craft, Cormier became the target of a great deal of hate, particularly during his bitter rivalry with Jon Jones. Cormier's story is a fascinating look at how even the nicest people in the spotlight can find themselves surrounded by controversy and negativity. The rise of Daniel Cormier. From Olympian to MMA champion, Daniel Cormier's rise to prominence in MMA began long before he entered the UFC. Born in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1979, Cormier's athletic abilities were evident from an early age. He excelled in wrestling, eventually becoming a standout at the collegiate level. His dedication and natural talent led him to a successful amateur wrestling career, culminating in a spot on the U.S. Olympic team. Cormier competed in the 2004 Athens Olympics, and though he didn't medal, his wrestling career was far from over. He would later return to compete in the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, where he narrowly missed out on a medal but earned the respect of the wrestling community. Though he didn't secure an Olympic medal, Cormier's work ethic and commitment to his craft earned him a spot in the UFC. His wrestling background was a key component of his fighting style, and he quickly established himself as one of the top fighters in the light heavyweight division. Cormier's natural charisma, sportsmanship, and respect for his fellow competitors set him apart in a sport often characterized by trash talk and disrespect. However, despite his positive attributes, Cormier would soon find himself embroiled in one of the most heated rivalries in UFC history. The catalyst for this animosity was none other than Jon Jones, the man many considered to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. The Jon Jones rivalry, a clash of titans and personalities. The rivalry between Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones began in 2014, when the two fighters were set to face off for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. While Jones was known for his dominance in the Octagon and his controversial off-cage behavior, Cormier was the polar opposite. Cormier was polite, respectful, and focused on his craft. But this didn't stop him from clashing with Jones. The build-up to their first fight was intense, with both fighters exchanging verbal jabs leading up to the big night. Cormier's calm demeanor and respect for the sport made him a fan favorite, while Jones's brash attitude and history of legal troubles garnered a lot of attention. For many fans, the fight became more about the clash of personalities than the competition between the fighters themselves. During the first press conference for the fight, things quickly escalated. The tension between Cormier and Jones reached a boiling point, culminating in a physical altercation during the media event. Jones pushed Cormier during a face-off, and Cormier, visibly angry, shoved him back. The moment was broadcast worldwide and immediately made headlines. The media frenzy only intensified after that, with Cormier being painted as the nice guy who was pushed too far by Jones's disrespectful behavior. The fight itself, which took place in January 2015 at UFC 182, was highly anticipated. The build-up was filled with animosity, but Cormier maintained his composure. Despite his best efforts, Jones proved to be too much for Cormier, winning the fight via unanimous decision. The loss was a bitter pill to swallow for Cormier, especially because he had spent months preparing and believing he was capable of defeating Jones. However, even in the aftermath of the fight, Cormier's demeanor remained respectful. He praised Jones for his skills and didn't engage in the trash talk that many fighters use to fuel their rivalries. Instead, Cormier vowed to improve and eventually earn another shot at the title. The respect he showed Jones in defeat only added to his reputation as one of the good guys in the sport. The second fight, a turning point in the rivalry. In 2016, Daniel Cormier finally got his opportunity to face Jon Jones once again. The stakes were high, with Cormier defending his UFC Light Heavyweight Championship in a highly anticipated rematch at UFC 200. This time, the buildup was even more intense, with Jones and Cormier engaging in a war of words leading up to the fight. However, just days before the event, Jones was pulled from the fight after failing a drug test. The situation was another setback for Cormier, who had trained tirelessly for the bout, and was left to defend his title against a replacement opponent, Anderson Silva. Jones's failure to make weight and his ongoing struggles with performance-enhancing drugs and legal issues continued to overshadow the rivalry. Meanwhile, Cormier continued to embody professionalism, never engaging in the same level of controversy that Jones did. As a result, the public perception of Cormier as the nice guy grew, but so did the resentment from some fans who felt that he was unfairly being cast as the underdog in the rivalry. Despite the setback, Cormier went on to successfully defend his title, and the second fight between the two rivals was eventually rescheduled for 2017. This time, the fight would have a significant impact on Cormier's legacy, but it would also reveal just how complicated the relationship between public perception and reality can be. The third fight, a legacy. Marked by unfair criticism, the third fight between Cormier and Jones took place at UFC 214 in July 2017, and it would go on to be one of the most controversial fights in UFC history. The stakes were higher than ever as Cormier looked to avenge his previous loss to Jones and solidify his place as one of the sport's greatest fighters. Once again, Cormier entered the fight as the champion, while Jones entered with a reputation for being both the most skilled fighter in the division and one of the most controversial figures in the sport. The fight itself was a thrilling back-and-forth battle, with both fighters showcasing their incredible skills. Cormier appeared to be on his way to a victory, landing solid shots and controlling the fight in key moments. However, in the third round, Jones landed a devastating head kick that ultimately led to his victory by knockout. The win was a career-defining moment for Jones, but it was also marred by controversy. Just a few weeks later, Jones was flagged for a failed drug test, and the result of the fight was overturned to a no contest. For Cormier, the situation was a bitter blow. He had worked so hard to secure his legacy, only to have the win taken away from him due to Jones' repeated failures to adhere to the sport's drug testing protocols. Once again, Cormier maintained his professionalism, but the bitterness of the situation was undeniable. He had given everything to the sport, and yet it seemed that the public was still more focused on Jones's scandals than on Cormier's accomplishments. Despite this, Cormier continued to stay focused on his career. He went on to become the UFC heavyweight champion in 2018, solidifying his place in history as one of the sport's all-time greats. Yet, even as he added to his accolades, the animosity from fans and analysts continued to simmer. Cormier, the nice guy who had worked hard to prove himself, was often criticized for not being marketable enough and for not engaging in the trash talk and drama that fueled rivalries in MMA.
Always talk to the finishing ability of this guy.
Jones trying to press the issue here.
Cormier's in big trouble.
That's what surprised me.
The media and fan perception, the burden of being the nice guy. Throughout his career, Daniel Cormier's story was often overshadowed by the media's portrayal of his rivalry with Jon Jones. Fans seemed to favor the idea of bad guys like Jones, who created chaos and controversy, while Cormier, the model professional, was often relegated to the background. In many ways, the media's obsession with Jon Jones, his antics, and his off-cage behavior overshadowed Cormier's achievements. Cormier's demeanor, his politeness, sportsmanship, and refusal to engage in trash talk made him a likable figure, but it also led to him being undervalued by fans and the media. People tend to root for the underdog in a rivalry, and in the case of Cormier and Jones, it often felt like Cormier was the underdog, despite his championship status. Fans gravitated toward the drama and spectacle of Jones's behavior, leaving Cormier to carry the burden of being the nice guy who was often overshadowed by the negativity surrounding his rival. Moreover, Cormier's struggle to receive the recognition he deserved was compounded by the perception that he was never able to truly defeat Jones. Even after Cormier's victory over Stipe Miocic to win the heavyweight championship, critics were quick to point out that Cormier's legacy would always be tarnished by his losses to Jones, regardless of his accomplishments. the role of commentary and public perception in shaping Cormier's image. One of the key elements that contributed to Daniel Cormier's perception as the nice guy in MMA was his role as a commentator after his in-cage career. Following his retirement from active competition, Cormier transitioned into a broadcasting career with the UFC, where he became a well-respected analyst and color commentator. His insight, eloquence, and professionalism made him one of the most beloved figures in the sports commentary team. However, this new role also had its challenges. While Cormier's knowledge of MMA and his ability to break down fights were widely praised, his commentary sometimes became the target of criticism, primarily from fans who perceived him as too nice or safe in his analysis. Critics often compared him to more abrasive figures in the commentary booth, such as Joe Rogan, and while many appreciated Cormier's refreshing perspective, others felt that his positive attitude led to a lack of bite in his commentary. This subtle dissonance between his on-air persona and the prevailing culture of high energy, often divisive commentary added to his complex image. The idea that the nice guy would not be as controversial or polarizing may have contributed to some negative feelings about his work. In contrast, some fans preferred commentators who were more outspoken and dramatic, believing that Cormier's professionalism might sometimes border on blandness. Nevertheless, Cormier proved that there is room for kindness and humility in the commentary world, even though it might not always align with the loud, confrontational energy that fans often associate with combat sports. Furthermore, as a commentator, Cormier often found himself in the unique position of having to call fights involving fighters he had once trained with, fought against, or developed personal relationships with. This created a delicate balancing act for him. While he was respectful of his colleagues and their performances, he was sometimes accused of showing bias toward certain fighters, which led to even more scrutiny of his character. Despite this, Cormier continued to maintain his reputation for fairness, objectivity, and respect for the fighters involved. His commentary allowed him to remain deeply connected to the sport and maintain a positive influence, even after stepping away from competition. Daniel Cormier's impact beyond MMA. While Cormier's journey inside the cage and in the commentary booth has shaped his public persona, it is important to consider the broader impact he has had on the MMA community and beyond. Cormier has been a mentor to countless aspiring fighters and has played a pivotal role in promoting the sport in a positive light, especially among younger athletes. His efforts to cultivate a sense of community and camaraderie within the sport have made him one of the most respected figures in MMA, not just as a champion, but as a leader and role model. Through his work with various gyms and training programs, Cormier has helped mentor the next generation of fighters, including younger wrestlers who look up to him as a source of inspiration. He is known for being open and accessible to his students, and has always made time to share his vast knowledge of the sport with those who are coming up through the ranks. Cormier's impact goes beyond his personal accomplishments. He has contributed to the growth and development of MMA by nurturing talent and promoting sportsmanship. Additionally, Cormier's community outreach and charity work have further cemented his reputation as a man of integrity. He has been involved in numerous charitable causes, focusing on helping underprivileged youth and promoting healthy lifestyles. His commitment to giving back to the community has been an integral part of his life, and his efforts to make a positive difference have left a lasting impression on fans, fighters, and even people outside of the MMA world. While Cormier's achievements in the cage will remain a significant part of his legacy, his efforts to use his platform for good will ultimately define the lasting impact he has had on the sport and the world around him. As a role model, mentor, and community advocate, Daniel Cormier has shown that true greatness extends far beyond championship titles and accolades. It is about the positive influence you have on others, both inside and outside the cage. The enduring legacy of the nice guy. The story of Daniel Cormier serves as a powerful reminder that in a world full of drama, controversy, and negativity, being a nice guy can be both a blessing and a curse. Cormier's journey in MMA was filled with highs and lows, from his Olympic wrestling career to his UFC championships. all while carrying the burden of being the respectful, humble fighter in a sport that often rewards the brash and the outspoken. Despite the challenges he faced, especially in the face of the Jon Jones rivalry and the criticisms of his nice guy persona, Cormier remained steadfast in his character. He proved that kindness, sportsmanship, and professionalism could still carve a place for success in the world of combat sports. Cormier's journey serves as an inspiration to both athletes and fans alike, showing that it is possible to remain true to yourself and your values, even when the world seems intent on tearing you down. Daniel Cormier may have been the nice guy in MMA, but it is this very nature that has earned him the love and admiration of fans around the world. His legacy will continue to influence the sport for years to come, as a reminder that in the pursuit of greatness, the way you treat others and the impact you have on your community matter just as much as the victories in the cage.